Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay, and obviously you're looking at a video version of my Rants and Raves podcast. We're a little more than 2 weeks away, I should say, from the big, giant, mega AV show known as InfoComm. And I love product demos, and I'm excited to be joined again with T1V. Not only do they have a great collaboration product, but also they're here in North Carolina, so got to make sure we pay homage to our fellow Tar Heels here. First off, I'd like to introduce Adam Lorich, who's the EVP of Sales and Marketing. Adam, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having us.
I'm doing great. And of course, Jim Morris, the CTO. You may remember him from the one we did about a week or so ago. I have a quick question for you, Adam. I mean, you're playing in a space that is one of the fastest growing spaces in the commercial AV market that we've ever seen. I mean, this market is sort of exploding. The high concept of creating large digital canvases and sticking content wherever you want to put it is just become explosive. And so therefore you must be benefiting from that, and being the EVP of sales and marketing, then you kind of know where the industry is as a bellwether. What do you see?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we see a lot of iterations of our flagship product, ThinkHub, which is the product you just described, and the different ways that people are using it. From ThinkHub Agile to ThinkHub MultiSite, which we're going to show you here in a second, and ThinkHub X Canvas. It's so many different ways to use that core product for different ways that people work. And we're seeing it grow incredibly fast in markets that we didn't really even anticipate on being in. And so to us, it's just exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah, I want to get back to you and ask you about those markets you didn't anticipate to being in. But Jim, one of the things that we talked about last time was how interesting it is that we can now put content anywhere, anytime we want, but also make it where you can collaborate with it with anyone in the world at any moment in time. I'm sure you must be finding some very unusual applications for this, which we'll talk about in just a second. But at the same time, the traditional applications of meeting rooms and classrooms are sort of being transformed with this collaborative technology.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're definitely seeing a big interest in meeting room spaces, where you have this canvas and you can put information up there. You can pull it up when you come in the meeting, and even when you're not in the meeting, you still get access to that. We're seeing that definitely move into the higher education space also. And so that's actually one of the demos that we're going to be doing here in this space is for higher education.
Let's do a demo. You've got a couple of students in your classroom as well that'll be able to collaborate. Let's do the demo, and we'll come back to my question of the unusual applications. So where do we start? Are we starting with Jim, or we start with Adam?
Yeah, I'm going to start off on the demo. And the space that you're seeing here is kind of a what we call an active learning studio. And we have many of these that have been deployed around the country. And we'll give you a demo of that. And we're actually at our booth at InfoComm. We'll have a scaled down version of this so that you can come by and see that, anyone that's coming to the show. But so the key piece that kind of drives the whole engine of this is the ThinkHub system, which we're showing up here on the screen is basically a large canvas that's many times bigger than the screen that you can put lots of different content on and move around and interface with. And unplug that in for me, please. And then, but I'll show you some of the different types of content that you can see is, I can hit here, I can bring up a browser. I'm just giving you a quick kind of intro to ThinkHub. As a notepad where you can come up here and type different notes, with just text-based notes. There's also a sketch tool that you can pull up, or you can tab, you can come in here and draw different kind of sketches, all types of, so those are kind of three main things. And then we also have what we call the media tray, which allows you to have file-based content, which would be image files, movie files, and PDF files. And then we also have the other part, which you see right here, is called the device tray. Now this is really where the power of our system comes in, and it really leverages any type of live content that's coming in. And the way we do that is people with their own devices, their laptops, their mobile phones or tablets, they can connect using our AirConnect app and live stream their content up here. And when they do that, it shows in the device tray, and you can pull that up, and you can have multiple of those at the same time. In addition to that, you can have camera feeds, as you see here in this demo, but you can also have any kind of HDMI input. So that's kind of the basic ways that you get content in. And so, what this allows is the instructor, for example, could have different, PowerPoint slides up here and lecture kind of the traditional way to a class, right? And so that's pretty straightforward. But, we've mentioned that this is an active learning studio. And so what we mean by that is there's areas where students can interact with each other and the professor can interact with them. And so I'll show you how that works. I'm just going to tap this button here. It brings up a thing that says room control. And I'm going to hit this button that says all stations on. And at that moment, all the student stations come alive. You can see that the displays start coming out of the tables here. And these student stations basically turn on. Now, you'll see on the screen here, there's a name that says ViewHub. So this is a product that we've had for a while. It's basically a screen sharing only kind of appliance. Very similar to some other screen sharing, wireless screen sharing things in the market. But what we're doing that's different is we're taking this ViewHub product and our ThinkHub product, and we're pairing them together into a system that gives you, a lot more functionality in the whole room. And so, for example, now these are up here. So if this is a group of students that are working here, they can share their content up to the screen, as Kate's going to do and as Blair's going to do. They can interact with each other kind of in their own little work group. And, myself as the instructor, I can actually come up here to the screen. I'm just going to move some of this content around. And actually the streams of all of these stations are actually here in the device tray now. And so as the instructor, I can come up here. I can come up here and I can put all of this content up on the screen, up here live. So I'm actually looking at their content live. I'm just going to re-grid that real quick. So I can see all that content up here, exactly what they're doing, and I can take anyone and zoom in on it. I can annotate on top of it. Now, so this allows me as the instructor to see what's going on in the room. The other features that we have is I can take some of this content and say, I really like what Blair is doing here. It actually has her name here on it also, so it makes it really easy, intuitive for me to figure out whose content this is. But I can say, I want to take this content and I want to send that to everybody else in the room. And I do that just by hitting this button that says cast. It's very intuitive, very easy. I don't have to go to, a Crestron panel and do some different codes. But when I do that, it pops up on all the student stations. Everyone can see that. And in addition to that, I can just take my pen here. I can highlight something here and say, look, everyone in the class, take a second. Look at what Blair's doing here. We think that's very interesting. So in addition to that feature, casting individual student stations, I can actually take any piece of content that I have and also just override whatever the students are looking at and send that to them. In addition, I could take the whole canvas, which I'll just hit this button, cast the canvas down there, and you can see all, that canvas pops up here, and this is live, so if I'm just moving this around, this content on the student station is moving around. I can, if I come up here and annotate on something, they see that at all the stations. So, so there's some basic features here that we're enabling. One, students can interact with each other and share their own content. The instructor can override any content he wants to all the student stations whenever he wants to. He can also view all the content from all the student stations live, and he can take any content from a particular student and push that to everyone else in the room.
So let me ask you, can I ask you a couple of quick questions?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So the product that I see that is the distributed product you called ViewHub, and is that, do you have to have a ThinkHub system and a ViewHub, or do they operate independently? Kind of tell me how this ecosystem works as a group.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the infrastructure and what's needed, but basically there's a ViewHub device at each table. And that is just, on its own, that's just a wireless screen sharing tool that people at that table can use.
Right.
When you have a ThinkHub system and we connect them together, we call that ThinkHub Connect because they're all connected. Okay. And the ThinkHub is kind of the, the engine around the whole room now. So that's what enables you to broadcast to all the ViewHubs, to take any content from a ViewHub and look at it here on the screen and rebroadcast it back to everyone else. Yeah.
And it's really sold as a package.
That system's called ThinkHub Connect is what
ThinkHub Connect is when we kind of tie the ViewHubs and the ThinkHubs together into this kind of active learning classroom solution. It's also got some applications in enterprise training rooms and things like that also.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, it's really sold as a package solution too. So if you're buying a ThinkHub Connect system, you're really going to choose the size of the instructor station that you want, and then the number of student stations that you want, and then it's sort of packaged as one system.
Yeah, and obviously it's platform agnostic, because I see different products that are around the room. So you really don't care what people come in with as far as a device.
Sure. Yeah, and these, there were some design requirements around it. It was really one of the goals was to really try to kind of have a low cost unit just for each student station, because there's lots of these. We support rooms that have up to 100 students and 25 student stations. So this, for example, is just a display. It's got no touch, no interactivity. And there's just our low-cost ViewHub product there. We do also have products that enable touch at the display, for example, for higher interactivity. But what we have found is, the requirements that are really needed are really more like this, where they can just interact with each other by looking at shared content on the screen, for the student stations. Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. So this is the ThinkHub Connect system, basically, but that ThinkHub is still the large digital canvas that we talked about the other day. So you can put that content, and say I had projectors in the room as well, I can expand that content and throw that content anywhere I want in the room, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And we have a few other features that come along with ThinkHub Connect systems, which it's not shown in this room, but we will have that at our InfoComm booth. It's a feature that we call Dock. And basically it enables you, the reason we call it Dock is it enables you to take a piece of content and dock that on just another screen in the room.
Right.
And so, for example, and it's also real intuitive, when I hit this button, when I hit tap on any window, it pops this thing that says cast. There's just another 2 buttons there for like display 1, display 2, where you can just assign any piece of content to any screen. And even if I, just move that off the canvas, it doesn't matter. It still keeps showing on that screen, so you can, it makes it really easy and intuitive.
Yeah, and if you watch the video we shot about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we actually demonstrated that feature in that video. So that's so again, you'll be at booth 3971. So let me ask you, I have a couple other questions. If for example, if you have ever had a client that wants to do exactly what you're doing with the ThinkHub up front with a larger screen, like a projector, how do you deal with that? Do you have like a touch overlay option for a projected image, for example? Or do you recommend that some display in the room is always a collaborative touch display somewhere, even if you have a larger display somewhere else?
I think there's definitely some advantages to having, a touch interface that you can interact with. But of course, we support, a lot of different hardware and solutions. And so we do provide ThinkHub kind of solutions that are on interactive projectors. But in the video that we shot, a couple weeks ago on X Canvas, it actually shows you doing this on multiple displays, and none of them actually have to be touched. You can control everything from another device, a tablet, or kind of a podium display can be used to control it. There's another feature I wanted to demo also, which is really about, I've talked so far just about in the one classroom. Well, what if you have another classroom that's maybe in a different location and they want to join in, or you have an overflow into a neighboring classroom? We have a feature that we call ThinkHub MultiSite, which has been available in ThinkHub for years, but we've enabled that in ThinkHub Connect. And just to demo that real quick, I'll just come here. I'm going to start a multi-site session. I'm just going to call this class, enter, start it up. Now Adam over there, he's going to hit multi-site. He's going to see that session. He just joined it. And as he joins it, his content is going to, or my content, I should say, is going to pop up on his screen. Now, this is all live data, so whatever's happening on this screen, you might see if I move this window, it's moving over there. That's, if he moves the window, it's moving over here, So this multi-site feature basically is we're dialed into the same digital canvas. And everything on the canvas is shared between them, whether it's live sources like laptops, whether it's static content, whether it's annotation, and either one of us can interact with it just as it was our own content. So if I come up here and I circle on this, you may notice in the video, over there, you can see you see the line being drawn in real time. So it's real time collaboration. And this screen could be, in Los Angeles or something. It would look just the same. So that's a big factor of being able to take multiple classrooms, join them together, seeing all the same content.
And what is that feature called again?
That's an add-on to ThinkHub Connect that we just call MultiSite. So, and it's basically available for all of our ThinkHub products. Anytime you have ThinkHub, you can get ThinkHub MultiSite, and that allows multiple ThinkHubs to dial into the same digital canvas.
And I have a question for Adam. Adam, you mentioned up front that there's you're seeing some unusual applications outside of the traditional classroom and active learning environments, and even collaborative meeting rooms for interactivity and this kind of functionality. Can you give us a couple of examples for the integrators that are watching that might want to explore different market opportunities?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, one of the applications was obviously ThinkHub Connect was created for higher ed, and that's really what it was driven for and driven by. But now it's being pulled into enterprise environments where people are creating these corporate training and learning centers and different rooms like that. So we've deployed this system now in some different applications than we anticipated. Also, just base ThinkHub and ThinkHub with MultiSite has been pulled into, obviously it was created for a more corporate environment, and we've now seen it go into medical, go into, Department of Defense, things like that, where we didn't originally anticipate it being pulled into, but it's been, the more we learn about it, it's just been such great applications for different uses for this product.
Yeah, we have a couple state police departments actually that are using it among multiple locations to help them stay to work together on, certain cases.
How do you integrate legacy gear into something like this? Like, for example, someone has a DVD player and they want to plug in a DVD and show a DVD or something like that. Obviously, I saw you have a USB port on the site that you had at the beginning where you could plug in external content from there. And of course, all of the devices that are in the room can collaborate. But how do you deal with legacy gear?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot in that area also. I mean, so we have kind of our basic HDMI inputs, that you can get for any of the ThinkHub devices, and that's kind of the bulk of the way that we get, other devices that have kind of video outputs to feed in, and that would be DVD players and satellite receivers, cable TV boxes, or even other just computers, in-room computer systems that are running certain applications. The other thing, which we didn't really show here, but when you pull those feeds in, we actually allow you to come up here and click on it and actually control it. And we can do that both through the AirConnect app and for hardline inputs, HDMI inputs, which is really powerful.
Like CEC control through HDMI for this consumer.
Well,
is that kind of stuff, or are you taking it over? Are you adding RS-232 and network control if the device has it?
It's actually through a USB connection to the device. So you would, for the ones that you want to be able to control, just like you're clicking on your screen yourself, you would plug in HDMI and USB, and basically, we're emulating kind of a mouse control for the device. And basically, what that allows you to do is bring any kind of weird operating system that you might have that has some data. Maybe it has to be on a secure network, and it can't be on the same as this. You can bring it in through this kind of hardware-based version, and still have it look like it's kind of integrated right into this single canvas.
Does that functionality work with MultiSite too? When you put like a DVD player in hardwired, you can send that content MultiSite?
Yeah, sure does.
That's amazing. That's really cool. And so then obviously all this information is on your website at T1V.com. I think this is a great demo. I think this is a great example of the future of our industry, is this concept of a digital canvas where you can put content wherever you want it to go at any moment in time. So I appreciate you doing this. Of course, you're in booth 3971, and you'll be doing a miniature version of this demo in your booth, you said at the beginning.
That's right. We'll have 2 student stations similar to these, but a little smaller, and we'll have the ThinkHub Connect system, and we'll have the 2 dock displays in addition. That's right.
Yeah, so booth 3971 at Infocom. Adam Lorich is the VP of Sales, Executive VP of Sales and Marketing. Jim Morris is CTO at T1V. And both actually all four of you, I guess, are Tar Heels. You're in Charlotte, so you got to be part of the community here. But thank you very much for doing this demo. I'm excited to be going to InfoComm in 2 weeks. This is going to be big. Obviously, this whole idea of this digital canvas is sort of converting the way that people think about interacting with content. And the way I kind of describe it is what you were saying at the top, where you have, your PowerPoint, the way you traditionally deliver is sort of linear delivery. And this allows for non-linear delivery, where you can kind of pull content at any moment in time, but still have access to everything on the screen. And it does simplify the control because everything is visual. So whenever you want to grab something and display, you just grab it and blow it up. You don't have to worry about switching it and adjusting it. It's always there all the time. And the two ladies in the room with you, they're from that generation, it looks like, that I teach. They're used to multitasking with this content all the time, and the 20-somethings of the world get frustrated with linear learning nowadays. They want this ability to have all the content available at all times. So I think that this is sort of something that generation, millennials and Generation Z, anyone selling to anyone below the age of 37, this is the way that the future of the industry is going to be integrated. I'm assuming you both agree because you're part of this transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for doing this. Booth 3971 at InfoComm. In the meantime, T1V.com.